It's the Hot Mic with Kat and Dave. This is the time of year. I mean, spring rolls around and you start to see it. Even in my neighborhood, I'm noticing it. Some signs on lawns, homes up for sale. And if you're even thinking of moving, it's so important to have that in good hands. So that is why we chat with the number one realtor, our favorite in Waterloo region, Tony Johal.
Woo-hoo, there he is.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. What's the current vibe, by the way, in the market?
Activity is quite healthy. People are buying, people are selling. I think buyers are not afraid to get into the market like they were in the years past. You know, there was always so many crippling events going on in the past, going all the way back to the pandemic. Buyers were afraid to get into the market because the prices were going crazy, or they were asked to submit offers with no conditions. And then all of a sudden, when they felt a little bit of relief, then they start talking about trade wars and tariffs. There's been so many things that have been against buyers getting into the market. But what I can say right now is there's lots of inventory. Buyers' offers are being accepted with conditions, even if they have a house to sell. And they're not being rushed into making a decision. They can look at a house 2 times, 3 times, get their conditions put in there, get their mortgage put together. And it's almost like a much more balanced way for buyers to buy homes.
What's it like for you as a realtor? Is it sort of like a spring training almost, where it's like the spring season's about to kick off and you know that it's going to start to ramp up and you see the trends every year? Have you seen that the trends are relatively the same in sort of seasons, at least, from when people are most interested to get into the market?
Yeah, the funny thing is, Dave, the spring market for us, it starts very much around Family Day. That's when you start to see, inventory hitting the market. You start to see people getting a jump on spring market, whether it's buyers want to secure something before the summer, or whether it's sellers just trying to get to the market before their competition does. So spring market for us starts very much around Family Day weekend. That's when people start to get into the market. With more inventory comes more property inquiries, comes busier open houses. It gets the whole thing started. We've found that to be the trend over the past couple of years. And I always tell people right around March break, that's the time people are going to Home Depot. They're getting stuff for their house to get it ready for a springtime list. So I would say over the next month or so, we're going to see a lot more inventory hitting the market. And with inventory comes, buyers coming out of the woodwork.
Okay, so I'm curious then, this region, I mean, it's booming, but what neighborhoods are seeing the most action right now? What are you seeing? What are you noticing?
We're definitely starting to see Cambridge heat up, first of all, because they get that big influence from the GTA being the first stop in the region. So a lot of homes in Cambridge are getting showings, are getting multiple offers. And then, of course, that trickles down to Kitchener, Waterloo. They're very busy for their own reasons. Like when you get near the university around May, June, you're going to start to see a lot of parents buying up properties for their kids that are going to be staying on res. And then right now, right up and down the 401, the Kitchener highways, you're starting to get the buyers coming in from the GTA, coming out that way too. So it's kind of all over the region. We're seeing a fairly strong influence.
Right, and investing.
Absolutely. I think that is one of the things that separates our region from anybody else. We don't just have the access to the highway. We've got these great schools that people come from all over the world. And it's a great opportunity for parents to invest back into the region, because as a parent in the past, you always used to say to yourself, why am I going to pay, for my kid to stay on a dorm or stay on res somewhere when I can buy something and they can live there with 1 or 2 of their friends? In the past, that was always the way things were. And then we had the big jump in pricing, which now kind of made parents think about, well, it's cheaper for them to stay on res. It's cheaper for them to stay on campus. But now all of a sudden things have swung down again, where it's become a lot more palatable for parents to be able to buy something and still be competitive with staying on campus or res. I would say it's gone back to the years past. So, 2018, 2019, even 2020, we had a fairly predictable upswing in the real estate market. There were some swings up, swings down, that type of thing. And then for about 3 or 4 years following that, we had a very erratic market. Now we're out of the erratic market. We're now back to a consistent market in which homes are taking 2 to 3 to 4 weeks to sell, which in any given market is fairly healthy. When a home is selling in 1 day or 2 days, that's great for the seller, but it's also difficult for other buyers. It doesn't represent a very healthy, balanced real estate market.
Okay, well, here's the big question I have for you, really, with all of this. What is your prediction for this year?
I think it's a great question. I think what we're going to find this year is we're going to find very similar traits to last year. We're going to get these seasonal fluctuations like what we're finding right now. We're seeing more activity in the market, more people buying, more people selling. What I will say is I don't think we're going to get a huge jump in pricing. But what I will say is we're going to get a lot of people selling, a lot of people buying. A lot of people are going to be buying because it's now, an opportune time they can get their offers put in with conditions. And a lot of people are going to be selling for various reasons. One of those reasons is going to be financial. They're just not prepared to renew their mortgage at the new proposed rate compared to what they've had in the past. All of a sudden, they're paying 25, 30% more on their mortgage payment. That might just be enough for someone who owns a home to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this. I don't want to be house poor anymore. We're going to sell it and maybe downsize.
Wow. Okay. Well, listen, good luck on your busy season.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you taking the time. Tony Johal, RE/MAX Twin City Realty. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Tony?
Honestly, just hit us up on Instagram, Tony Johal Real Estate Team. Thank you for having me.